The village of Monterosso is a great place to start your adventure here on the Cinque Terre. This is the first of the 5 villages, so we have Monterosso, and then behind me, the next village down in the sunlight is Vernazza, which will be our next destination. Let's check out Monterosso. Alright, so we walked around the point. Now there's a tunnel down here on the left that connects the old and new town, but this is the old town of Monterosso. The old towns have definitely a lot more charm, but it's very convenient and a little bit more modern to stay in Monterosso in the new town. So the path we're walking up is going up the mountain to the cemetery and to the monastery above Monterosso. And you can tell I'm huffing and puffing a little bit. In English it's called the switchback of the friars. Italian is the Z dei Frati. And we'll come up on in a moment a bronze statue of St. Francis, which looks out over the Ligurian Sea in Monterosso. So this is the Capuchin Monastery of St. Francis. So you see the black and white facade, and looking out, this beautiful cross right in front of the vineyards. And there used to be quite a few friars up here. There's only one that takes care of the entire village. This is a nice refuge from what could be a crowded town down below. Okay, we've reached the old town here in Monterosso, and it's loaded with character. All of these villages have little wine shops and cafes and meat shops. There's a butcher shop beside me. This is one of the main squares here, and as you can see, some of the locals are gathering here to chat and talk. It's about noon, so they're getting ready to go eat some lunch and take their siesta. So we're heading back to the next village, to Vernazza, so let's go. Alright, we're at the train station in Monterosso, and if we're heading in the direction toward La Spezia, back toward Pisa, then the trains are always going to be on the track that's closest to the mountainside. And if you're heading in the direction toward here, Monterosso or Levanto, the trains will always be on the ocean side. That's a very important point for catching the correct train going in the right direction here in the Cinque Terre. It's also very important to realize that at some of the train stations you're actually inside a tunnel, like here in Vernazza. So when the train stops, even though you don't see the station, you need to go ahead and get off. A good rule of thumb is to keep account of the villages that you want to visit and know if it's village 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and how many stops it is to get there. Okay? A very important thing that happened here on October 25th, 2011. This village was flooded, and a big mudslide came down the mountain and covered this town with 10 or 12 feet of mud all the way down the road to the harbor. It all came right down here, and this was filled up way up to the 2nd floor. I was here last September, and a friend of mine that owns a restaurant told me that they had just opened 6 weeks ago, and that was after 2011. For me, this is a quintessential town here in the Cinque Terre. I love to hike out through here and grab a place on a rock out here and just chill out on the harbor all day long. These places, although it looks uncomfortable, you can put a towel down and nestle yourself amongst these rocks. I can't count how many times I've done this route right here. So we're going to try a little GoPro experiment here in the water. If I can get down here without getting sopping wet. It is a bit cold. Here we go. This is fun. The next village down is called Manarola. I really like Manarola because it's a village on the sea, but it's not quite so touristy. So the harbor here in Manarola is a little bit different than the other harbors in that it's down about 150 feet. And so in order to get the boats from the harbor up here where they're all parked, there's a mechanical lift here that they go down and you pull the boats up and it parks here overnight. And in the morning they drop them back down, go out fishing, come back and do the same thing over and over again. And now it's kind of a swanky thing, electric, but it used to be by hoist. And so they've done this for centuries. So the harbor in Manarola. These dried spices are pretty good to take back home. They're lightweight and they're packed heavy with a lot of flavor. So every time I come here I try to get 4 or 5 of them to take home to last me 6 months or so. One says for hot spaghetti and bruschetta and oil and peppers. So we'll see. And then you can actually walk through the vineyards where for centuries they've had these terraces there that have gardens and olive groves and grapevines on them, and walk through the entire town, and it's a great experience. Okay, I'm pausing because we need a breather here, but we've hiked up from the harbor and now we're walking up some steps through the vineyards and going to take a little tour through the vineyards that ultimately winds up at the top of the town here of Manarola. So this is an example of how people would get to the stone walls and to the vineyards up there. So you see they put these steps. You go up here, crawl up here, and then you're on one of those terraces. There's vineyards every which way. But in order to pick them, you have to get on your hands and knees underneath there and pick them. So it's a tough row to hoe job to pick here in the Cinque Terre. We've made our way to the top of the vineyards here and haven't seen a soul. So it's worthwhile making the climb to get up here and to experience the peace and quiet. 5:30. So at 45 minutes after the hour, it dings 3 times. And at quarter after the hour is 1 time. Then the hour, it dings however many hours it is. I love staying in these villages because you know, you never even have to wear a watch. You can just listen to the church bell. That means it's time to knock off what you're doing and go have a glass of wine. I don't know. Finally, the last village in my sequence of things is the village of Riomaggiore. I really like Riomaggiore as well because when I go on vacation and I'm not leading tours or semi-working, we stay in the village of Riomaggiore, way up above town, and I so much enjoy meeting the people in town, going to the store every morning and buying some fresh produce, visiting the fish truck that shows up in the mornings, and it's just a great time. So Riomaggiore warrants some time as well. In the Cinque Terre, you cannot just go to one village and get the entire taste of the region. They all have a different character, they all have a different group of people, and they're all totally different from one another. So you'll miss out if you don't experience all the villages in the Cinque Terre.